And this is our third morning show, road show. We began this when the provincial election was called now 3 weeks ago, and it's been great getting into different parts of the city and meeting some of the candidates who want to run for office. Today, we're going to be chatting with those who are in Calgary Buffalo, a number of them, including the UCP candidate Tom Olsen, who joins us. You know him, I'm sure, many years at the Calgary Herald. He worked with Premier Stelmach. He went to the dark side there for a while. Now he wants to represent the riding here in Calgary Buffalo. Tom Olsen joining us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What got you involved in wanting to actually be a candidate to run? We're asking everybody this. Why do you want to be representing Calgary Buffalo?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question, and I was saying to Sue off air that I had not aspired to be an MLA in my life. I've been around politics my whole life, my whole professional life. Never aspired to be an MLA, but then after about a year and a half of the NDP government, which I had taken when they first were elected as a government that I would give the benefit of the doubt to. I knew Premier Notley, some of the key players in her caucus, and I thought she talked about prairie pragmatism and balanced budgets, and I thought, well, we'll see what happens. After about a year and a half, I thought to myself, this is such a reckless government when it comes to spending money. I have 4 kids and $95 billion in debt with a $4 billion annual interest payment is unconscionable. We need to do better than that. So that was my primary motivation. The thing about debt is if you have too much of it, every government program is in trouble. It doesn't matter what your priority is, it's all in trouble, and we need to stop that.
So you decided to jump in. You're at a party now that continues to lead in the polls. Our latest Ipsos poll is still favorable for you, but it's beginning to slip. And the numbers, just to give you a perspective, if you haven't heard from Ipsos, it's 47%, down 5 for the UCP from our last Ipsos. NDP is up 4 to 39%. So it's looking like it's still good for the UCP to lose, but the NDP is making ground. Why is that from your perspective?
Well, I can really only talk about Calgary Buffalo, and I tell you, Calgary Buffalo is a very interesting riding. In my opinion, it's the most dynamic riding probably in the province. Buffalo has everything. It has people who have literally nothing and people who have an awful lot, and there's a great diversity of opinion. But the one thing that everyone agrees on, for the most part, is that the key issues is the economy, jobs, the economy, and the pipeline. So down in Calgary Buffalo, the discussion is almost always comes back to what are we going to do to get people back working. We have 8% unemployment, highest in the country here. We have 180,000 people out of work, and that's reflected in a lot of the conversations I have with people as I knock at doors. So, Buffalo is always going to be a battle. It always was going to be a battle. It's still a battle.
I get angry when I see John Horgan talking about bring it on and following to what Jason Kenney said yesterday about we will immediately shut the taps off to BC. So I get that anger from an Alberta perspective. I worry, though, if we're picking fights with everybody. If Jason Kenney wins a week from now and immediately picks a fight with BC, immediately cancels the carbon tax, all of a sudden any goodwill we've had to get a pipeline built is out the window.
With respect, Gord, I don't call it picking a fight. I call it standing up for Albertans. Premier Notley has played nice. Her government has celebrated the success of the pipeline 9 times. We have 0 meters of pipeline in the ground. So it's not about picking fights. It's about standing up for Albertans. We're very generous. We've given hundreds of billions of dollars to the rest of the country since the 60s. We're in a time of need. We just need a little bit of cooperation.
How are you door knocking in this area? I mean, we're downtown, so what does that mean? How does that change things for a candidate in this particular area?
It's very interesting. It's not just the case of sort of picking a poll and going door to door outside. You have to go through the process of approaching condo management, because 75% of the riding roughly is what we call behind closed doors in condos. So you go, you get access to a building. It's a bit of a process. You get a fob, you go in, you go to the top, and you work your way down. Some people tell me I should go to the bottom and work my way up, but we don't. We let gravity apply.
Back to the pipeline situation. Some of the big hitters, the big developers of the oil sands are saying we need to be talking about carbon taxes. That has to be part of the presentation in order to get buy-in from the rest of the world. They're seeing the pushback. Your thoughts on
well,
that?
I have thoughts on that. And first of all, this concept of social license has done nothing. And a broad-based consumer carbon tax, not even the Premier can tell you how much that has reduced greenhouse gas emissions, because it has not. We are looking at a carbon tax on large emitters, which is what these folks are talking about. And if we are able to advance our technology, continue to shrink our carbon footprint, share that with the developing world, we immediately reduce the carbon footprint internationally, which is the goal. If we can get our natural gas to the coast, ship it to China, they burn that instead of coal, immediate reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, and that's the goal.
So jobs, the economy, that's fully what you're focusing on here. Are you talking to people about social issues, and what kind of feedback are you getting back?
Social issues come up, absolutely. And what I say to people is that I'm a social moderate, fiscally responsible, and that I'm very comfortable that our agenda does not include any sort of these social issues at all. They're handled, they're dealt with. I'm a supporter of the LGBTQ2+ community. I'm pro-GSA, and I talk to people about that, and I assure them that's not our agenda. Our agenda is the economy.
So here you go. You got a week to go. Advance poll is open today. What do you see happening? What has to happen in order to fill these downtown buildings again that we're sitting in amongst right now?
Well, it's my hope that there will be a UCP government. I don't take anything for granted. You cited some polls, and those poll numbers move up and down, and they can do that in the last week of an election. I'm working very hard. We have an economy that has been. Again, the NDP, when they came in, they had a difficult economic situation, but they made it much worse. They added taxes, they increased corporate taxes, they increased regulation. We have the Job Creators Tax Cut that will reduce the corporate tax by a third. We have independent economists telling us that will create 55,000 jobs and bring $12 billion into the into the Alberta economy. So those are the things that we need to do, and those things will happen under a UCP government.
Final question, criticism again to the UCP potential government is that we're just wanting to roll it back, going back to the way it used to be, and nothing. Let's go back to 2014 when things were great. Your response to that?
Well, I'm not entirely sure what that means. Go back to 2014.
Well, we're not worrying about taking care of the environment. We're just rolling it back to bring the oil jobs, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, well, we have to diversify for sure. And the thing about it is, if you create an economic environment that is favorable to government, to business, you get every kind of business. You don't just get oil and gas. Plus, we maximize the expertise that we have here in oil and gas. As I said, there are tech jobs that'll spring out. We're focused on creating tech spaces in post-secondary, skilled tradespeople. There is a focus on the environment. But why not do something real for the environment? As I said before, as you pivot towards renewables, I'm not in favor of big subsidies for wind, solar, others. But there are ways that we can, smart people in the world that can figure out how to make those, how to make those pay, make them economically viable. And that's what we need to do.
Got a week left to do some running around. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming by. The UCP candidate for Calgary Buffalo, Tom Olsen. It's 7:17. Time now.